our Friday Horos Meetup. We are going to go ahead and get started, see if we can cover some ground today, give you guys a status update of where we are with Horos. If you have any questions during the webinar, feel free to ask them. I'm going to do my best to answer them as they are happening. Going to make sure that I've got this set up here correctly. I'm on a spare laptop. Mine is in the shop. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, this is the Horos Web Meetup. Today is Friday, April 3rd. First, I want to provide an introduction to Horos, and for those of you who haven't attended in the past, and give you guys some context of what we're up to here at Purview. Purview is a cloud-based image management company, as many of you know. We are one of the few resources globally that customers who are using Osirix or Horos can go to for technical support. We support over 1,000 Osirix workstations globally. We support over 100 customers on 4 continents. The majority of our customers, I would say 70% or more, use Osirix in some form or fashion, either because of our influence or because of their their willingness and wanting to do that. So I think collectively we probably have close to 20 years of experience among our team. We have over 10 years of experience as a company working with Osirix, and there have been some things that have happened recently with Osirix that have caused us to want to sponsor a truly open source fork of Osirix. I'll give you a little bit of history here on what Horos is. Horos is a fork that began with Osirix 5.9. In fact, a guy named Alex Bertonini decided that he would start a GoFundMe, I think, Indiegogo, I'm being corrected. He would start an Indiegogo and build a 64-bit version of Osirix from the open source code available in the Osirix GitHub repository. And around the time when he launched this project, it was interesting to us here at Purview because we were just beginning to think about building our own fork of Osirix and calling it Horos. So we decided to fund Alex's project fully so that he could get set up with the equipment he needed, a Mac. He didn't have a Mac. He needed a Mac in order to build this version of Osirix. And he did a great job with it, and we commend him for it. In fact, we certainly we're excited about him engaging in our project in the future. But that being said, it kind of provided us with a foundation that could be used to start marketing and all of the other ecosystems around Horos that would be necessary to really engage constituents and users to get the most leverage out of this open source version as possible. So Horos removes the nag screens that we became accustomed to in Osirix Lite, allows us to open 500+ image series, allows us to edit DICOM data, is fully licensed under open source GPL 3.0, and is a 64-bit build of Osirix. So a lot of the limitations that are currently in Osirix Lite unshackled as Horos, and we're pretty excited about that. So a little bit of history on how that happened. Osirix really was becoming more closed, and we really were motivated to keep it open source. I mean, we believe here at Purview that open source is incredibly valuable to businesses and to users, and there's a lot of value, important value, in keeping projects open source that begin open source. And really what we observed with Pixmio and their behavior was a direction that was very different than what we had planned for Osirix. We reached out to Pixmio, in fact, several times and asked if we could perhaps participate in overseeing the open source version of software, contribute financially to the development of Osirix, and many, many times we were turned down. So while we don't hold Pixmio, we're not grinding our axe to go after Pixmio And look, they're in business just as we are, and they're making business decisions, which is fine. We made the decision to fund Alex's project to get started. Open source software is not it isn't successful in its own right. There's a lot that has to go along with the software in order for the project to be successful. So, what Alex has done with his project is wonderful, but you can't just be one guy, out on an island building your own version of Osirix and hope that there is going to be mass adoption. You need things like marketing. You need things like resources to run websites and manage Google communities. And you need to be able to build systems around the source code so that other people can participate. And that's really why we put a significant emphasis on starting Horos. Horos is foundationally strong in all of those areas, allowing people to engage in many different ways, allowing people to contribute source code, and we've implemented the systems here at Purview as a sponsor of Horos to make sure that we can be responsible and be responsible with the source code, accept the community contributions, and turn versions of software around quickly. So our future intentions are hiring and organizing resources around developing Horos and different plugins. I'm not going to mention the name of the individual. We'll make sure that we make that more than apparent in the near future. But we have hired an individual to play the role of overseer, grand master, if you will, of the Horos project. We're real excited about this guy, and we think he's going to offer tremendous value. And again, in the near future, we'll make sure that everyone is aware of who he is and what his role will be. At Purview, our goal is to be the commercial entity to continue to provide an open source version of Osirix. That's our goal. We don't have commercial intentions with Horos other than supporting customers who use it, making sure that it functions with our cloud. We're not looking to take the same path that Pixmio has and make a light version of it. None of that. What we're focused on is making sure that an open source version lives on. That is our goal, and that is what we intend to do. We want to thank those folks who've contributed so far. Lots of activity out there. Fauzi has done a great job at getting a bunch of bugs addressed for us. Joel has added some capability into Horos to enable future development around plugins as it relates to specific measurements. Some of it, honestly, is above my head. I know that Danny Weissman on our team has been working to make sure that your efforts go noticed. We do have a version 1.0.4 that we intend to release very shortly. So stay tuned in. I'm not sure what our schedule is for that offhand, but I think we'll be releasing 1.0.4 even momentarily. Talk about some of those bug fixes that Fauzi has helped us with and some of the work that Joel has contributed in more detail. We have corrections to the display of imaging data in the 3D MPR viewport. Thank you, Fauzi. We fixed showing compression types and overlays, volume ROI updates, center pixels and CPR updates. We've added direction Z to one of the functions there in Osirix Horos I think that was Joel's work, to enhance some future plugins along with a geometry update and T-layer ROI selection using image.rep.pixels wide /high instead of image size width /height. And again, some of the stuff, when it gets down into the technical weeds, I can certainly understand what you did here. I can't speak to it in depth, but we did make sure that all of these bug fixes are included in the release notes of version 104, which is in testing, and again will be released momentarily. We do have some outstanding bugs related to custom DICOM annotations. We We're being told of some 3D rendering issues that we're still trying to work through identifying those bugs specifically. And a thumbnail that applies in the series drop-down menu in the 2D viewer is blank, and we're working to resolve that. So there are some outstanding bugs that need to get hammered down on. But that'll come in time. I think version 1.0.4 is a wonderful improvement and addresses a number of issues that we've collected and documented in Mantis Bug Tracker, which is the bug tracker issue tracker resource that we're using on the Horos site. I want to, again, emphasize the mission here at Horos before we get your questions answered. Our goal is to build a perpetually free medical image viewer that is always open source. We've chosen to license this version of Horos under 3.0, the GPL license. We've chosen to make it fully functional, so we wanted to make sure that all of the limitations in OSIRIX Lite were removed from our distribution. We want to make sure that there's open contribution. There's ways for all of you guys to contribute to the Horos project, but make sure that we have a curator. We have somebody paying attention to those requests and those contributions and managing the priority of those. And I think most importantly, maintaining a non-commercial entity. The Horos project to oversee Horos is critically important. It keeps the hands of commercial entities off of the development of a Horos, or keeps it at arm's length, I should say, and ensures its survivability in the future. I cannot emphasize enough, from every member of our team here at Purview, and again, we're sponsors of the Horos project. That's all we are. We are all fully committed to ensuring that this remains open source GPL 3.0. That's very important to us. If we can summarize the Horos mission, we want to make Horos the best open source medical imaging software available on Earth. That's a pretty profound statement. I think OSIRIX in a lot of ways started as that, the best open source medical imaging software available on Earth. And while they've taken a different approach at Pixmeo, which again we don't hold them accountable for, we're excited to pick up that pick up where Pixmeo left off in that respect. It's a product of expert community collaboration. We're just getting ready to hire a resource that will be critically important in ensuring that experts in the community can collaborate with this project. And we actively encourage others to provide ideas, code, and suggestions. Participation is, in an open source project is much more than just writing software. It's providing feedback. It's letting us know about bugs and issues with the software. So that the team at the Horos project, so that the folks at Purview who are working on this project can keep releasing versions of software that improve Horos. That is our intent. So that's our vision. I'm keeping these. I'm going to try to get these webinars down to about 15 minutes going forward, unless we have substantial content to cover. But I want to make sure that you guys have an opportunity to ask questions. And we'll do that now. So if there are any questions out there, I'd love to hear what they are, and I'll do my best to get them answered. Would love for you to ask those questions using the GoToWebinar control panel. The first question is from George Chang. Are there Horos tutorials on YouTube, etc., like a class? George, we're going to be working on that. We're going to be providing video content on OSIRIXexperts.com and on the Horos website. It's coming soon. Craig, who oversees all of our marketing, he's looking at me from his cubicle, and I know he's super excited about that. Would love to get feedback from you guys on what specifically you'd like to see. So George, if you could shoot us an email, I'll give you some email addresses at the conclusion of this webinar. Feed us with specifics, and we'll make sure that we spend some time on that. George, I got some feedback from you. I want to generate airway anatomy, trachea to the 3 to 4 gen airway, then take the 3D model and measure angles and distances between various points on the model. George, if this is a feature request that you'd like to formally submit, I'd encourage you to do that in our issue tracker. Now that we've got some folks here that are going to be working with us on a more regular basis, we'll get that request prioritized and see if we can't get it baked into a future version of Horos. And George, thank you for your participation. We've seen your name pop up quite a bit, whether it be on these webinars or on other webinars, and we love that you can commit some time during your week to participate. It's really valuable. Got a question from Howard Mann. Images seem to load slowly in 2D Viewer compared to latest OSIRIX. Is this your experience? Can this be addressed? Howard, this may have something to do with the different libraries we're using that are truly open source. We'll take a closer look at performance issues as our new resource gets ramped up. He is attending this webinar, so his ears are probably perking up. We want to get the best performance out of the libraries that we can legally use in this project as possible. So we will do everything we can to troubleshoot this and get the performance to be on par with or comparable to the latest versions of OSIRIX. Are there any other questions, any other contributions, anything anybody would like me to share with the group? Feel free to shoot me a question. We'll hang out here a little bit longer. That's the purpose of this webinar. Howard, no problem at all. We'll be paying attention to these issues that you bring to our attention. I know the guys have talked about the performance issues. We've got a couple of facilities in the U.S. here using this in different ways who've brought the performance issue to our attention. My understanding is, and I'm not a professional radiologist, I'm not an amateur radiologist either for that matter. I'm just not a radiologist. I don't use OSIRIX in the same way many of you do in kind of a production capacity. So the performance issues are a little more difficult for me to observe. We may do some benchmark testing and put the two applications next to each other. And maybe we can report back on those benchmark results here in the next couple of weeks. Looks like that's it from the attendees. Again, appreciate you making the time. Howard, you can shoot an email to Horos at horosproject.org. Actually, George, you can send an email there with your requests for content. We'll make sure that we get that content built. Issues should go to horosproject.org/mantisbt. Mantis is a pretty cool open source project in its own right, and it's what we're using to manage issues here at the Horos Project. Our website, www.horosproject.org. One of the questions that just came through from Howard, do you eventually plan to get FDA CE approval for Horos? You better believe we're paying a lot of attention to that. So keep your ears up for information in the future on FDA and CE approval. That is absolutely on our radar. All right, guys, I'm going to end this session today. Certainly appreciate your attendance. Looking forward to sharing some really exciting news with you in the next couple of days, as well as a version 1.0.4. Enjoy your weekend. If you celebrate the holiday, have a wonderful holiday, and we'll talk soon. Take care.